Alright, we're starting on well, this shed, part 2, and right now I am working on putting a drain, a French drain here, to prevent too much water from running over here and causing dampness on the other side of this wall. That's where we left on the last video. So this is the drain in question. Just finding a level. It's probably sitting a little bit low, but it's not too bad. Already just having this gap here is really helped. And right now I'm just putting a tarp so the water just flows here while the cement dries. And later I will address this section here so that this roof goes into this gutter here as well, and all drains over there. So we'll have, that will not be part of this video, but down the line I will have to, I need to level this a bit better. This is terrible. But I will have to do another drain here. Folks, if like me you've tried to make your own PCB, you know that it's a lot of really hard work, and the results are, well, thankfully, PCBWay takes the pain out of making PCB by doing it for you. They also do CNC 3D printing and injection molding, as well as helping you with the design of your idea if you can't even get it off the ground. So go to PCBWay.com and see what they can do for you, and thank you to them for sponsoring this video. Now, already what we've done is already helping. Here I can see patches drying a lot better, traces of clear in the cement, meaning the cement is drying even on the ground here. So that's good news. It has helped. Over here, for some odd reason, isn't quite drying, but I did this last actually. So that's going to take a bit longer, but yeah, our cement is getting a bit clearer. So that means this is helping. We still have purling on some patches, meaning there's still dampness. Well, first in the cement patches and in the wall that is still trying to escape. So, I mean, that's normal. This the weather conditions have a lot to do with it, and things aren't drying exactly in winter. Ireland's pretty much wet from October to May, really. So yeah, it's encouraging. So I think we're on the right track here to help with the dampness problem. It does feel drier in here already, if I'm honest. All right, that's the well, first step. But I'm wondering, do I even need a second step? Because it's not that high. Yeah, we still have the slant. I'm not entirely happy about that, but I'd have to probably just break all this. Like, to give you an idea, this is the level line here with the that blue base here. So it gives you an idea of how slanted it is. It's not too bad. It's not as bad as it was, but this is still a steep part. So I don't know. I might just, for at least the purpose of this video, might stick to one step, and maybe in the summer I'll do a second step here. The goal is to just get the water, drain it off all over here. So I've put tarps just to prevent, I've offshoots anyway going into the grass here, just in case, but just in case it rains on this section, and there's rain forecasted for not tomorrow but the day after. So just to allow this to dry. I've done some work over there, sort of patched. There's big holes in this corner, like all here, and in this corner here. So I've filled them, patched them, and here I've done a little filler job just to prevent water from pooling in that corner. And yeah, there you go. So I did that yesterday. This is the negative, so this section is dry. It'll need more time to fully cure and all that, but so for the next few days I'll have this all tarped, and then what I'll do is I'll run a sealant, which is like an epoxy type of paint that is done like for sealing, that kind of stuff. It's for roofs mostly, but it should do a good job here of just sealing this corner. So this is the problematic area. Let me widen the angle in the shed. So I think we're getting there. At least most of the water runoff from over there is directed the other way, and whatever is flowing from here will go here. So we're just dealing with probably rain come just for this area, which I can't do much about. So I think that's us covered. So I think at this stage I am done with all this part, and I can't do much until this fully cures and I can inspect inside the shed and see if it is indeed dry. Well, actually I'll do that final sealant on the outside, but I think what I've done here should really definitely help, fingers crossed, over there. So I can only wait now for a couple of weeks and inspect the work afterwards. So yeah, in the meantime I have some holidays planned to Lanzarote for 2 weeks. That drain, before I put the French drain in, but that gap has been there for a couple of weeks already, and it's helped deflect some of the water off this wall, and it's starting to dry, which is great news. And I'm seeing purling on the concrete itself, which is normal because there's moisture in there that is trying to evaporate, but not on the wall at the moment. So I think we're on the right path. One of you mentioned painting that base, or painted with some concrete treated, something like that, and that's something that he does in Australia. Different countries have different materials and different requirements. Here it's called tanking, and it's going to be a paint, it's a type of paint applied to about that height, which actually you can see was the line where moisture used to rise to, and yeah, about a small meter, maybe 90 centimeters, something like that, and probably a bit higher in this case. But the tanking is a sort of a waterproofing from the inside, but there's no point doing that if you're not addressing the root cause in the first place. So I wanted to address the stuff on the outside first. So yeah, treatment of dampness like that has to be addressed on both sides, and preferably prevent it altogether from the outside. So that's what I was trying to do. It's interesting that, like I said in the previous video, a job that was sort of, you can see the drawing here, a job that was sort of well, optional. I just wanted to fill some gaps in the wall, and has highlighted a much bigger issue, and something that needed to be addressed more thoroughly. Yeah, that's the job here, tanking slurry. It's a waterproofing coating that you sort of well, roughly paint on, like one side and then the other side like that, 90-degree angle, and that's what it's designed for. Ireland and UK at least, that's what you use indoors on the base of the wall. Interestingly, everything that is around this boiler has dried so incredibly quick. This was thick cement and it's dried. There was a big gouge here where an old box was, and this is because this is generating a lot of heat, and so is this. It's like a rad. Not too bad, it's actually well insulated. But yeah, so I mean, my plan was to encase this, but I probably will, but I think I will clean this and leave this apparent, so I won't be able to dry line behind it. That's going to be an issue. But what I'll do is I'll come to about here on each side. I'll work around this and leave that exposed, and it's going to act as like a rad for our piece here. Yeah, there you go, it's on. Another thing I want to do is put an active ventilation in here, just to extract any remaining dampness that might linger when it's all finished. It's called a VMC in French. I don't know what it's called in English. They're quite ubiquitous in France, and every house would have them, almost every house, and it's just an active ventilation system. They're dirt cheap over there. I got one in our cottage here that I got in France, and they cost about 60-70 quid for a basic model, and it's just a air extraction system that is kind of constantly on. I made a heat exchanger for it in our house, but in here there won't be any need for that. I'll have it on low, very low, and it'll provide some ventilation in here just to prevent mold and static air from, you know, building up moisture and mold inside the room. So next time I'll go to France, which won't be until June, but this is going to be an ongoing project anyway. I'll get one, and I will probably, because I need to build a wall here, probably put the extraction hole here somewhere, maybe in the corner, so that way I don't have to drill an extraction hole for it outside. And I can't quite remember if I explained this, so I'm doing this as I'm editing the video, but this door here is going to go, and essentially I'm just going to wall it off here, and this will allow me to maximize the space here. Otherwise I would need to have, I'd lose the space here, which is about a big cab, and I'd lose the space I need to have that door open, which is about, it's going to be the space for 2, maybe 3 cabs, 3 cabaret cabs anyway. So I will close off this, break it off, and essentially we'll have our opening here. I'll do a big door, maybe a double door, so I can get cabs in, and our entrance will be single entrance from here. It's not that glamorous, but it'll allow us to first have this place fully insulated. I'm trying not to show you too much because I'm doing this after, well, pretty much the end of this video. Yeah, so it'll maximize the room. We'll have just one entrance here inside. It'll provide better insulation as well. There's only going to be one opening, and yeah, that's the idea. So quite a bit more work for me yet again. Alright, it has been a few weeks, and the good news is, well, things have dried quite drastically. So what we did with the draining, that did help. Still dampness that will come through, all that kind of stuff. So this is why I'm putting now a tacking slurry all around at least this area. So you need to put that in 2 layers, and it's to prevent moisture from coming out, but you need to put that in 2 layers. So one layer is one way and the other one will be 90 degrees. So I'm gonna let that dry overnight and do the second layer tomorrow. Hello, Mallow. And but yeah, it's all here. I'm gonna do this in sections. So first I'll put flooring here and line up here, and then we'll move on. But this is the area actually here. It was all here. Here was dry, here was dry, there was a corner here. So essentially this area and a little bit here needs the tanking slurry. I just did it here because I had some, so I might as well just do as much as I can. I'm not sure over there we'll need some, but we might do it in time anyway. So first layer and then second layer tomorrow. I'm going to film that, and we're going to start then putting our damp-proof membrane and then the structure. For outside, right now I'll do 2 coats again. I'll wait for this to dry, but this is a epoxy and latexy type of material. It's actually a paint used for roofing, just to prevent cracks and or to go in cracks. And there was actually a crack here, all the way here. You can see where the paint is, but so I suspect a lot of water was coming through this way and out there. And indeed on the other side, this is sort of the area where the most dampness was remaining. So I think this was the cause of it. But because now we've this drain, I've big hole here, so I'm going to do I'll have a grid, but it's actually taking most of the water that come from here and from this drain, whatever. Although this drain now is well able to handle this pipe here. So and I have a little course as well, just to prevent too much dampness coming into the this is our bathroom here. So overall, I think I've addressed the most of the rising dampness into this, so we'll be able to continue with our build. This is going to be the last segment on this topic, I promise. I finished the tanking here. I had some leftover, so I went a bit higher in this section. It's drying already in some patches. Hello, cat. Anyway, it's drying in some patches, but I got a bit of a fright because when I went to check, well, look at that. Look at this, all this water dripping off it, and I was like, God, have I made it worse? What's happening? Essentially, this section of the wall is pretty much drenched. This is dry, but this is so wet, and I thought, have I created more? Is there more moisture coming in, or because it has been raining heavily? What it is, it's not moisture coming from the outside. It's because with these doors closed, this creates heat in the building, and that creates condensation on the wall because the wall is still cold. There's no insulation in the wall, and because inside is warmer, it creates condensation on this wall. Normally, condensation would be absorbed in the bare wall, but here it cannot. So it's actually just condensating here. So it's good. It means this is doing its job of preventing dampness from going in, but it creates condensation on the outside. This won't be too much of a problem once we start having a membrane. I'll have a membrane everywhere here, a damp membrane to prevent the wall from getting wet, and insulation then on the wall. But right now it looks like I've made it worse. Bit of work later, we now have our damp-proof barrier to the ground. So I'm going to do this in sections. So first is going to be this, and then line the walls. But right now I'm just putting my structure for the floor. I have insulation sheets and ply on order. Things are looking good. My wall is drying. There was one last remaining issue with a leak, and it came from inside the wall. It wasn't actually reaching the ground. Well, it was reaching the ground, but it came through midsection of the wall, and I reckon it was. You can see where I've patched over there. I reckon because that was the area. There was a big hole there, and there was also, I'm not sure we can see it here, actually right over my finger there was a sort of a gap in the wall. So I've patched that with cement and silicone around the window. So hopefully that's what it was. And but it only came in really strong winds, rain and winds, like a lot of rain and a lot of strong winds, and I reckon that's what actually kept the water pooling there and then into that gap. Because if I look at where it was pooling, and it wasn't a lot of water, but enough for me to have a slight concern or needed to fix it. There you go, and it was coming through those holes here, one of those, I can't remember. So it's all dry, but it was pooling here somewhere, which is, I mean, the window would be about here, and it was to this side of the window, so it would make sense that's where it came from. Right, the first bits of the floor are going in, insulation all under. I'll get more, then I'll do this section first, but I'll do the floor first. That way I can move some of the stuff back in, so it's not out of the way. And because all of it is on wheel, I can move it around. But it's just to make my life a bit easier here. Bit of advice: always triple check your measurements and your work, because this is what happens when you don't triple check and you only double check. I double check my measurements, but I double check wrong both times. Not a big deal. I just put an extra piece of wood here just to support this corner. It's all supported here and here anyway. And because this part is going to be, well, essentially non-structural, it's resting on this, I'm just going to cut a piece that will somewhat overlap here and then find a way to fill any remaining gaps afterwards. This is the base floor for a shed for a few arcade machines. I'm not too worried if there's any gap, but we'll fill that as best as we can, and then there'll be a carpet, or there'll be an overlay and then underlay, sorry, and then a carpet. So not too worried. If my measurements are better this time, bloop, there you go. We'll clean the edge. We'll get a bit of glue, and then screw that in place. Stupid Ollie. I'm trying to find a good angle for showing all this, but there you go. This is, I think, whatever, it's 9 sheets of insulation. I've one left here, and that's going to go over here. So I'll have this whole area done, and essentially what I wanted to do was to do this section so I can move all this stuff back here to clear this area so I can continue working on this. But for now, I'm gonna do this section up to the that's my fuse box for the everything that's outside, all the sheds. So I'm gonna obviously keep that here. I'm gonna go up to here with the wall, and up to here, and then I'm gonna continue and do the floor, probably just this section, because what I need to do next is, and this is good that this is coming into the summer, I'm going to take this door off and wall it, so close this section entirely, so I can actually do a floor here. Because if I do a frame for the ground here, then suddenly I can't open this door, and I can't use this section. So I'm gonna have to take the door off, do my frame, and I'm gonna do this just a small section. So the length of the sheet of ply, and essentially I'll have the width of pretty much 3 sheets of ply, and that should give me plenty of space to move more stuff here so I can continue all the way up to here. So this is going to be a big space. The wall insulation, I'm gonna just do up to here, and well, I suppose I could do this section first, but I need to review this entire mess, electrical mess. This is the result of, I don't know, 40-50 years of just adding on new electrical stuff to this shed. Some of it is me, but maybe one, but the rest has been sort of put together. So I need to take all this off and redo and tidy up all that. We have here our mains coming from the main area of the house. I think this is, no, this one is our septic tank, and this is a cable I run that runs under our garden all the way to the blue shed and the this shed over there, my working shed. So yeah, there's quite a bit to do. I don't think I need to disconnect anything, but I need to rework this and put that into protective sleeves as well, and also so that we can have it. I don't want it buried. I know in a house that's what you'd want. You want no electrical wires apparent, but I want it on the outside here so that everything is visible and accessible. So I'm gonna have connector boxes where this should be. See, there's another one there that probably doesn't need to go there, because this, look at this. This comes down here and back up. I don't think this goes anywhere. This is directly from the house to power this guy. This has been a mess for years, long before we moved here. So anyway, this is the where we are at now. I'm already starting to use offcuts to insulate the ceiling, because I will also insulate the ceiling. There's no point having everything insulated here if all the heat is going to then escape up. So yeah, already this feels so much drier, and dare I say a little bit warmer. At least we get some heat reflected, and you can feel it reflected from here. So whatever this ends up being used for, it's gonna help regardless. All right, Right, folks, and I think this is where this video is going to end. I was hoping to do a bit more and to show you a bit more, and at least have probably twice as much insulated and cladded, but in my haste, I forgot that I'm not 30 anymore, and I managed to pinch my sciatic nerve. So I'm getting better, but I've had a week of just pretty much no activity because, yeah, it hurts. So I need to be a bit more careful. I need to also remember to stretch before I do any sort of activity. Luckily, my wife is a physio, so I'm in good hands. But yeah, I was hoping to be doing a bit more, but I also need to remember that maybe lifting 18 mil sheets of plywood on my own is probably not a good idea at 50. So, folks, I'm going to take a break of a couple of weeks, get better, and we'll continue this project very soon. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. I just need a little rest and being a bit more careful. Folks, I hope this was interesting. At least we addressed a lot of things now, and we can get cracking with the build. So folks, thank you for watching, and as usual, there's a Patreon, YouTube memberships, all that kind of stuff, and I'll see you next time.